The big news last night was that West Ham United had made a verbal offer of 60 million for Man United players Scott McTominay and Harry Maguire. Now, as it's turned out, it's actually 30 million, two bids of 30 million each for each player. Man U have rejected the bid for McTominay, but are reportedly considering the bid for Harry Maguire. And on today, via the likes of Sky Sports, is suggesting that the two clubs are not that far apart and an agreement could be reached with Harry Maguire open to moving to West Ham. We'll discuss that in just a second. But perhaps the strangest transfer rumour involving West Ham yet this summer transfer window is for Ansu Fati, the 20-year-old winger from Barcelona. Now, ex-West Ham employee had sort of sporadically linked us to him, saying that we held a bit of an interest in the Barcelona forward should he leave the club this summer. Now, he's been linked with a move away. He's been linked to Arsenal, for example, for around about 35 million. And apparently Arsenal made a tempting offer, which was rejected by the Spanish club. They don't want to sell him, or not for that price anyway, although the offer was very tempting. Which suggests that they are open to selling him. If they've received an offer, if you receive an offer for something and you reject it, but you also describe it as very tempting, surely that strongly suggests you're open to selling that item that you've received a bid for. So it sounds like Barcelona will sell him if they get the correct bid. But the reports also suggested that Fati wanted to stay at Barcelona, so the Arsenal bid didn't really go anywhere. However, just an hour ago, we've got Gerard Romero, who reports on all things Barcelona, has stated that an unnamed non-Champions League Premier League club have made a 50 million euro bid for Ansu Fati. So that could be West. There's not many clubs it could be. A Premier League club that's not playing Champions League football that has 50 million euros to spend. There's not many. We are certainly one of them. So you never know. Maybe we have actually bid for the Barcelona winger. But I'm not going to get too excited. I don't watch Spanish football. I know there was a lot of hype about him for a long time. It's sort of one of those players you hear about before they've even played in the first team for Barcelona. I know he's had a lot of injury problems, but still a very good player, but just very injury prone. So I'm not going to comment too much. But if you want to get involved in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on it. But I'm taking this one with a pinch of salt for now. But it's all fun and games, right? It's transfer window season, it's transfer rumour time, it's all fun and games. Anyway, I'm feeling positive today. I'm feeling a bit more upbeat because we know Edson Alvarez is in London now. He's been pictured on the plane with Tim Steiding on his way over. He's been pictured coming off the plane looking like a handsome little bugger he is as well. So Alvarez will hopefully be a West Ham player soon. So I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good today. Until we discuss Harry Maguire. But before we do, this video is sponsored by the One Football app, the best place to keep up to date with all the latest West Ham United news. Maybe you're a Barcelona fan, maybe you're a Man United fan watching this to find out what I think about the rumours linking your players to my football club. Well, don't worry, you can download it as well because every club is on there. But it's not only clubs, it's competitions. So if you want to know what the latest transfer news is around your club, or if you play fancy Premier League, get your team ready for this weekend. You're going to want to know the injury news for all the other 19 Premier League clubs. You can do it via the One Football app, and best of all, it's completely free. Links in description, or a QR code is on your screen right now, so please do download it using that link so they know you've come from Hammers Chat. We get a little rub on the head. They say, well done boys, well done, you've got someone to download the app. But honestly, give it a try. It's a really good app. Myself and Gonzo use it even when they're not sponsoring us. You just know that if you watch the channel regularly, so get it downloaded. Right, Man U news. Harry Maguire, Scott McTominay. We'll go with Maguire first of all. Okay. The news is that Man United haven't rejected our bid of 30 million for him. Earlier in the summer, it was that Maguire wasn't interested in a move to West Ham. The reports are now suggesting that he's open to a move to West Ham in London to work with David Moyes. I know why Maguire would be open to that. A little bit of money. He's on big wages at Man U, 200 grand a week or something. If he can secure anywhere near that, of course he's going to be interested. Now, a year ago, I would have liked Harry Maguire. A year ago, I was hoping we could have got him because Man U at this point had signed Martinez. And I thought, well, Maguire's on his way. I wouldn't mind him at West Ham. In some regards, that's still applicable. It's not that I think Maguire is a bad defender. I think he's a good defender. I think he'd be good for West Ham. I think he'd be good under David Moyes. But that's the problem. He'd be good under David Moyes. Moyes has got 1 year to go on his contract. What are we signing Maguire for? Because you don't know if the next manager along is going to like him. And if the next manager along doesn't want Harry Maguire at the club, because if you want to play a specific way of football, Maguire cannot play. If you want to play a high line, if you want to try and play it out from the back more often than not, Maguire can be a liability. Hence why he's overlooked at Man United under Ten Hag. He'd rather play Luke Shaw left centre-back than Harry Maguire. And I understand why, but Man U play differently to the way that West Ham under David Moyes plays. So just because Maguire doesn't suit that doesn't mean he wouldn't suit us. I think he would. But this is where you're handcuffing the next manager along, on the assumption this is David Moyes' final season. And all we can go on is what is true at present. And what is true at present is Moyes has got 12 months to go to his contract, and that's it. Well, it's less than that now. It expires at the end of May. So we are going to have a new manager. The last thing you want to do is present to him he will be a 31-year-old centre-back on a hunt. Let's just give the club the benefit of the doubt here that we can negotiate a really good contract with Harry Maguire, which is 150 grand a week. He's taking a 25% wage cut to come to West Ham. Our top earner on 150 grand a week. The new manager's going to have a 31-year-old centre-back he might not want on 150 grand a week, and that's being generous. Maybe with 2 years, 3 years on his contract, he's going to be... Man U are struggling to shift him. We will struggle to shift him. We'll probably have to keep him beyond that, and I just feel it's very, very expensive. Now, this isn't a reflection of Harry Maguire. Like I said, I think he'd be a good addition. I think he'd do well under David Moyes. But at 30 million, even just the transfer fee, that is a chunky fee for Harry Maguire. But then when you take the wages into consideration, this is a 60 million, 70 million, even more than that, a 70 million outlay for the club over the period of contract for Harry Maguire. I think it's far too expensive. Even putting Harry Maguire to one side, spending 30 million on a centre-back, just that, I'm not sure I get it. I do feel we need a centre-back, by the way. I 100% do. I've been banging on about it all summer. We lose a Gerd at some point in the season to African nations. We need a centre-back. Zuma, we know, we'll probably miss a third of the season through injury. Ogbonna, looks like he just caught up with him in pre-season. He was fine last season, but you just don't know. Kerr, I think, is a really, really good centre-back, by the way. But to spend... While I think we need a centre-back, I think that player could be a younger player that doesn't need to play week in, week out. If you're going to spend that much money on Maguire, transfer fee and wages, he has to play. We cannot afford our highest earner to be sat on the bench. We just can't do that. So Maguire's going to have to play. So that begs the question, well, is he going to play instead of Zuma or a Gerd? Can't see it. As a partnership, they're really good. Individually, I think they're fantastic. But I think Kurt Zuma is our best player presently. Maybe not the most exciting player. That's Lucas Paqueta. We know that. But Zuma is first name on the team sheet as far as I'm concerned. And if I'm still adamant, if he was fit for every single game last season, he might have and probably would have won Hammer of the Year. His performances are that good. It's just that he misses a third of the season minimum. So what's Maguire going to do? Are we going to switch to 3 at the back? No, I can't convince myself we're going to do that. Because let's hypothetically say we were going to play all 3 of them. Zuma, Gerd and Maguire. We're going to 3 at the back. Well, where's the investment in wing-backs this summer? You can't do that. Emerson's a decent enough left wing-back. Soufal at right wing-back. Never been convinced by it at all. So where's the investment in the wing-backs, which are then become crucial if you're going to play 3 at the back? There isn't any. Where does Jared Bowen play? Up front? Okay. Where's Saïd Benrahma playing? You know, you alienate a lot of your current squad already by switching up this formation. And funnily enough, the one guy that would have benefited from it has just been sold to Atalanta. But I can't convince myself we're going to switch to 3. Oh, of course, it'll give us the option to do that, but not the long-term plan A. The only reason I can see for Moyes adamant that he wants Harry Maguire at this cost is that's our new captain. Maguire will be the new captain of West Ham. I would expect him to be the new captain of West Ham should we sign him, because we are a handful of days from playing Bournemouth on the opening weekend and we still don't know who our captain is. I think wearing the armband on Saturday afternoon will be Tom Souček. He's the most qualified to do so, and I think he will get the armband on Saturday. But that doesn't mean he's going to be the captain permanently long term. I think we're going to buy that. We're going to buy him. Harry Maguire, if we're spending 30 million on Harry Maguire, the only reason I can think why Moyes is adamant he wants him is because he's going to be the new skipper of West Ham United. Like I said, good player. He's got all the leadership abilities that we're probably lacking. I'm not even convinced. If we buy Maguire start. Let's say we bought Maguire last week. Who do you want to see play for West Ham at centre back on Saturday against Bournemouth? It's Zuma and Gerd for me. He doesn't get into our team, and we just cannot do that. So Maguire's a massive no for me, and I'm a bit concerned actually I'm a bit surprised Man U haven't bitten our hand off, actually. 30 million for him. They're not getting a better offer than that, and I think they know it. So this is what worries me, though, that I actually think this deal could happen, and that scares me a little bit. As for Scott McTominay, you guys know I love him, right? I would love him even more. My concern when we were chasing Scott McTominay was we were going to play him defensive midfield, and I don't want to see him do that. I am biased because I'm Scottish. I watch Scotland. But that's why I see a lot more of Scott McTominay than the majority of people watch this. I watch Man U every second week, probably. I watch every Premier League game that's on the TV. Man United are on the TV a lot. So I see a lot of Scott McTominay for Man U. I see him every single game for Scotland. It's two different players. I promise you this. You don't have to believe me. I'm trying to convince you of this. It's two different players. I promise you. The McTominay for Man United usually is used more defensively. And he's not that good at it. He's not as good as Rice or Alvarez defensively. But for Scotland, we have Callum McGregor in there. Sometimes we have Billy Gilmour in there. Certainly the previous game we had Billy Gilmour in there. Both of them holding allows McTominay to do the box-to-box role, get up the pitch, join in the attack. When we beat Norway 2-1, Scott McTominay is heavily involved in both goals. 86th minute we scored the winner. 2 goals. 84 minutes, 86 minutes, I think. So he's played the whole game. 5 minutes to go on the clock. Everybody's getting a little bit tired, a bit fatigued. Scott McTominay's the one that's making these 30-yard sprints down the right-hand wing, crossing the ball in. I think the reason I really want Scott McTominay is because I'm biased. I will admit that. It's because I see the Scottish version of Scott McTominay. That is the version I would want at West Ham. Not playing defensive midfield, but playing next to Alvarez. Alvarez, McTominay doing the box-to-box thing. And Lucas Paqueta. Yes, please, sign me up for it every single day of the week. I think it would work wonderfully under David Moyes. But the difference between Maguire and McTominay is there's a lot more managers that can utilise Scott McTominay long-term than there is that can use Harry Maguire. I think Harry Maguire suits a particular type of manager, and that's that. I think Scott McTominay is quite versatile. He can play defensive mid. He will provide cover for Alvarez should we need it. But I think his best position is that box-to-box place to replace Thomas Souček. It's to replace Souček. But do you know something? A midfield three of Downs, McTominay and Paqueta, not Downs, Alvarez, McTominay and Paqueta, then on the bench having Downs to replace Alvarez, Souček to replace McTominay, and Fornals to replace Paqueta. Perfect. That is good squad depth as well as a good start in a midfield. And I understand people snobbery towards McTominay. I'm not saying he's a world beater. I'm not saying he's good value. Man U want 45 million. It's too much. He's not that good. But I'm convinced that if we buy McTominay today, he starts against Bournemouth, and I think he'd be a success at West Ham under David Moyes. I am nailing my colours to the Scott McTominay mast now, but only if he plays in Souček's role, not the defensive midfield, not that. But I want him even more now we're signing Alvarez, because I was a little bit worried Scott McTominay would play next to James Ward-Prowse, and Ward-Prowse would get the benefit of going forward. Now we've got Alvarez, get McTominay in now. 45's a bit rich. But I tell you what, I want him a lot more Ward-Prowse. The reports are that West Ham, while we've had our bid for McTominay rejected, Man U want 45 million. West Ham are debating going in again, despite the take it or leave it tag applied. So basically, we've said take it or leave it to James Ward-Prowse, and we might go back in. And we've said take it or leave it for Scott McTominay. They've left it, and we might go back in again. But at the minute, the reports are suggesting we're considering going back in for McTominay. But should we decide not to, we'll probably go back in for James Ward-Prowse. Obviously our last bid of 30 million was rejected. We're just bidding 30 million. 30 million for Maguire, 30 million for McTominay, 30 million for James Ward-Prowse, 35 for Alvarez, because obviously I like him a little bit more. Anyway, that's the latest West Ham transfer news. Anyway, Vlasic is close to leaving. 8 million. 8 million. Significant loss from the club. A horrific transfer, to be honest with you. I don't know what the reasons are for signing him, why Moyes didn't play him. It doesn't really matter at this point. All that matters is that we have lost a large amount of money on buying and selling Nikola Vlasic once more, because everybody knew we were desperate to sell him. Torino could sit there and bid 8 million when we say, no, he's 12 million. You agree 12 million, it's 12 million, please. Torino knew, fine. We'll just leave it, because eventually you're going to have to take our 8 million or keep him. and you don't want to keep him, so we'll just leave our 8 million on the table. So I think there's potential add-ons of 2 million, which has been labelled up as very difficult to meet. So by the sounds of it, we're going to get 8 million for Vlasic, and that's it. Approximately a £15 million loss on the player, which is just wild. We still owe 3.5 million on the transfer to CSKA Moscow, which we've been able to delay due to the war in Ukraine, but we still owe the club 3.5 million. So out of that 8 million, 3.5 of it's going to Moscow. It's a bad transfer, isn't it? Anyway, there you go. Ansu Fati, Harry Maguire, Scott McTominay, James Ward-Prowse and Nikola Vlasic updates for you there. Maguire, no thank you. Fati, don't really believe it. Don't really know enough about him to form an opinion anyway. Scott McTominay, yes please. Ward-Prowse, bit meh. And Vlasic, cheerio. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please do drop a like on it by clicking thumbs up, that's the one. And if you're new around here, subscribe by clicking the big red subscribe button. Subscribe to Hammers Chat. It'll give me a morale boost. Later on tonight, we've got a video going up which is all about Edson Alvarez. I spoke to Michael from the Football Orange podcast. You've seen him before. He came on and did a Alkmaar preview with me. I caught up with him to get all the gossip, get his opinion on Edson Alvarez and ask him the big question. Is he the replacement for Declan Rice? You might like it. Tune in. I'll be up later.